Hello, YouTubers out there. This is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we're reviewing a horror film that came out last year called Barbarian. I'm going to try to keep this short and brief. I thought this was a really terrific horror picture. Not seen anything quite like this before. And what it reminded me of is all those videos on YouTube that feature from Mr. Nightmare that deal with real life stories of people, in situations where they go into houses that maybe they shouldn't be in, or abandoned houses, or this and any other, and encounter things they're not really too sure about. And this is one of those movies, but it's also, in its own way, it's an expertly made, often quite nerve-frying horror movie. And it came out last year. And the interesting thing about it, I think, is that I didn't know where it was going to be going. I had no idea. The setup is it's Detroit, Michigan. Inside of this house, it's an Airbnb. And this young woman, Tess, played by Georgina Campbell, she arrives at this Airbnb, and she is supposed to be renting it for some amount of time. And she can't get in, even though she has the right passcode, and she tries to call customer service, blah, blah, blah. Then she sees a light comes on. And turns out there's a guy already living there. So this is the setup. Because the guy says, oh, I'm supposed to be renting this Airbnb place. And she says, well, we can't both be renting the same place. We have to call customer service. It doesn't work out, blah, blah, blah. So at that moment, I thought right away that this guy, his character's name is Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård, who played It, the Clown, although I didn't recognize him at first, certainly, in this movie. This may be actually the first time I've seen Bill Skarsgård in a movie. I haven't really seen It yet. Saw the old It with Tim Curry, but not the new It. So, so I thought he was going to be the perpetrator of something going on in this place, when it turns out that that's really not the case at all. But you think that at first, at least I did. And so they start talking, and she's not too sure about him, and then she is supposed to be working for a documentarian, and she mentions a documentary and says, oh, I've seen it, it's about jazz, and he himself is a jazz musician, or a musician of some kind. And they kind of hit it off as friends. It seems like everything's cool, this guy's okay, blah, blah, blah. So the following day, she goes for a job interview. Then she comes back, and that's when I thought maybe he's part of something. But she goes down to the basement, which is never a good idea. And she's getting toilet paper, which is on top of this washer machine. So she descends into the basement, gets it, then the door locks. And it locks from the outside. So she can't get out. But she doesn't have the key. She has the key, but she can't get out. But anyway, so for whatever reason, this basement door is a different type of design. So then I still thought that this character of Keith was involved in some way. And then she pulls this string off the wall and finds there's a door that leads to another part of this basement. And then it leads into this room where there's a camera, a video camera or a film camera of some kind, and a bed. And she gets freaked out because she sees a blood handprint. And then she opens yet another door, which leads down to another staircase into this very cavernous area. It seems to go on forever. So anyway, but before it gets to that point, the guy Keith comes back, and then she's banging on the basement window, and then he gives her the key, and then gets in. She says, there's something going on down here. Something's happening. And right away, I still thought Keith was involved. And then they proceed he actually goes through down to the basement. She says, "I don't want to go up there. I'll go down there again," and he goes through there. And let's just say the movie just completely, I didn't know where this was going to lead, because let's just say it's not what you think. And I'll leave it at that. Justin Long does appear in this movie. This is one of the best roles I think he's had in a long time. Um, to those of you who watch this channel, you know I've reviewed Tusk, which I didn't care for at all. But I've liked Justin Long in other movies, particularly Jeepers Creepers and, oh goodness, Live Free or Die Hard. And there was a comedy he did once, which now I can't think of the name, which had to do with college. It's not coming to me, but I've always liked him. I admire him, and he also did a Creep Show episode that was also very good. So he is a very good actor, but so is Bill Skarsgård, and so is this woman, Georgina Campbell, very good actress. And there's a actor named Richard Brake, who last time I think I seen him in Three from Hell and The Munsters, and I didn't recognize it was the same guy. And some of those scenes are so startling involving him. Again, I'm not revealing anything. Horror has taken on a new slant. It's far more interesting than it was when, in 1996, Scream came out, if you all remember, of course. And that sort of had a resurgence of horror, but it was horror with a wink, you know? And we started to see a lot of movies like that, Bride of Chucky, you know, all that stuff, and the Scream sequels. Since last year, 2022, we had The Black Phone, which is a very good film. Smile, which I thought was a very good movie, very compelling. This one was almost as good as Smile. I wish we got to know the characters a little more deeply than we do, particularly Tess, played by Georgina Campbell. That's one thing Smile edges past Barbarian a little bit, because it does develop more psychologically. But this movie is a nerve-frying thrill ride, and you cannot anticipate what's going to happen next. It's one of those type of movies. The structure is fascinating. The narrative, it goes back, but you don't know it's going back. And then we see Detroit from a very different time, where the grass is much greener. The houses look more like they're been painted with primary colors. There's something about it. It looked like Edward Scissorhands, you know, in a way. And I didn't know where it was going to be going. And it was nerve frying. The only thing is that if I have a little quibble, it's, you know, I guess I get tired of seeing a woman character who should know better than to peruse through one basement that leads to a corridor that leads to a staircase that goes even further down the ground, and you can't see anything, and you would think, you know, but it keeps one's interest. So, I mean, she had to do that, of course, because this is how we, you know, get into the movie and discover the secrets of this place. This is no ordinary Detroit house, that's for sure. I also like the atmosphere of the picture, particularly during the daytime when we see all these bombed out houses. Obviously, this was really filmed in Detroit because, you know, there's virtually very few people living in some of these areas anymore, because, you know, Detroit just after once the Motor City, and then the Motor City fled, and it was just a city and no jobs. So you really have the feeling of that. And how the cops really just don't care unless there's a shooting. They don't want to be concerned about what's going on inside some house when there's hardly anybody living anywhere in any of these houses. So it was fascinating for that, and I like Justin Long a lot in this picture. I won't reveal what role he plays. There is a strange, spectral type of character, and I'll leave it at that. Once you see it, you can't. It's just terrifying, and it was original in many ways. What I like about the movie, it balances itself out with the horror elements and some sly humor. I don't want to say sly, but sort of sly. Not necessarily tongue in cheek, certainly, but not necessarily very black humor either. And there's no gross out moments, which I appreciated. It was sort of, I always felt that whatever violence you see on the screen is either you can't see it, or when you do see it, it's so brief it doesn't overwhelm you, unlike most other horror pictures, even Smile. can be over the top with some gore in some scenes. Obviously, that's a different kind of movie from some of the other stuff that I've seen in the past. So, yes, Barbarian, check it out. I didn't know what to expect. I came into this movie cold. I purposely didn't read anything about it. I didn't even realize Justin Long was in it until I saw the opening credits. And I think that's usually best. When you see a horror picture, you don't know what you're getting into, you know? And that's what this reminded me of. It really surprised me. So check it out. Watch Barbarian. Terrific movie. I think it's currently on HBO Max, but I can even double check to see. I just don't recall. Let me double check here. I think it's on HBO Max. And yes, on HBO Max. So check it out. It's there until 2024. That's pretty good. I definitely will see it again soon. It's a terrific movie. Check it out. So if you like what you hear, please subscribe to my channel. Tell me what you thought about Barbarian or other horror films that came out that you might recommend that came out lately or from last year. A lot of people are talking about Skinamarink, which I think I'm definitely going to consider seeing at some point soon. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. And that's all I got to say. This is Jerry Saravia, The Movies, signing off.